So today I want to talk about this Boss synthesizer SYB-3, and this is the earlier version. And basically, this is a pedal for bass players to have the synthesized sound, and it's kind of have these lo-fi sounds going on. And so on here, there's a little chart here that shows you the saw wave and square wave and so forth. So on here, you get a couple controls. You can have it where the guitar is actually making sound or the bass is making sound. So I'm going to turn that up. But for our purposes, I think I'm just going to have it only with the synthesized sound. And you can modify that from something that's low to a lot louder. And the more these you can change on here. So this is the decay. So let's say I have it full, but let me turn it like off. So that's a different sound. If I turn off, there's actually two functions there. There's one that's for frequency and resonance. So that's everything off there. So I need to do the decay. And I can tell this, you get some cool funk bass sounds out of this, because it's kind of built in, but you start tweaking around. And this is just a saw wave. So, you know, it does sound like a synthesizer. That is glitched a little bit. And they mentioned the SYB-3 is actually a different, it's not using this analog way, and it's less glitchy. But apparently a lot of people actually like the glitchy sounds. And I think I'm one of those that kind of like that glitch. So let's move up the resonance. That's halfway. Let me just turn some of that. Anyways, I just got it. Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I foresee an album just with this. Now that's a really useful sound there. That could work. All right, so let's try the square wave. Okay, here's the like a pulse wave. Here's an octave. Some octave with noise. A saw wave with noise. Let's see, I think that's 8. So that's a shape up. That's a shape down. Full throttle. The only thing I wish the knobs were a little further apart, but they have it on a stomp pedal, so I don't think they really think of this as a device for recording music on the fly. But you can't tell me that's not a cool sound. Okay, I think that's 10. It's kind of like a wah-wah sound. And wah-wah down. So, I got this used off the Facebook Marketplace. And I see these go for like 190, 120. The new one, I think it's like 120 or 50. I don't know, things have gone up a lot more. So I'm sure on the bass, the frequencies are better than on the guitar, but I mean, that's, for me, that's some possibilities. I could do something with that. So I don't know if I call this a true synthesizer, but it's it definitely has some interesting sounds going on. Yeah, I can definitely hear that you can do some really cool bass sounds. And if you want to mix the guitar sound in there a little bit. I think you can do some really cool things. The problem is, much like an analog synthesizer with patch bays, once you change the sound, you better record it because you probably won't ever get that sound again. And you know, you can experiment with a little bit of synth, a little bit of guitar, a little bit of guitar playing. So literally, it's just me playing with this for a few minutes. So I definitely could make an album of sound effects with this pedal here. It's a little bit of move. You got a whole different sound. See that? So, anyways, if you get a chance to get one of these SYB-3s or 5s, if you're a guitar player or bass player, I think you can have a lot of fun, especially if you're into creating sounds like I am. And I believe you can go out directly from the guitar into like another, I guess, into another amp, and that way you can get into distorted sounds and do some other fun stuff. I bought, instead of hooking up a 9-volt battery, I got a little, I've had these for a while, 9-volt connector there, and so that way I just would never run out of power. Anyways, I'm having too much fun. So if you're interested in one of these things, go check it out. And again, you can find these used. You can buy new ones that are the SYB-5s, I believe, and I believe they're still out there. And so, anyways, it's a fun little box to play with. If you unscrew this, this is where the 9-volt battery's at, and you can turn it off and back to the guitar. So I think you can have a lot of fun going back and forth between the sound and the regular guitar sound. So anyways, as always, rock and roll, of course, it does compute. If you like this type of amazing content, you know what you need to do. Subscribe and, of course, compute that. So you just do it. It's like that.